Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Master of Ceremonies for the 2025 If Not Me, Then Who Gala, United States Marine Corps retired EOD technician, combat veteran, New York Times bestselling author, and Fox News host Johnny Joey Jones.
Yeah, they wanted a walk-up song. I felt like Footloose really hit the moment. For those of you that don't know why, I'll tell you in just a minute, okay? And they didn't think I was serious. So that makes me worry about some of the remarks I have tonight. I can tell that they know more about my Marine Corps service than my time on Fox News, but I think we'll be okay. And for those of you who don't watch Fox News, never seen me before because you live in an airport and you watch CNN, it's not a big deal. We're the same but different. And that's as much of that as you're going to get tonight. So, listen, welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for Travis Manion Foundation's 13th annual If Not Me, Then Who Gala. I'm incredibly honored to serve as your host tonight and celebrate TMF and everything that they've made possible in the lives of our veterans and their families and the families of our fallen. It isn't often that you have the highest ranking military official in the land, as well as a former Secretary of Defense, the country's most recognizable fighting general, a former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and a 6-time Pro Bowler and 2-time Super Bowl champion offensive tackle. All in one room, all coming together with one thing in common, and that's supporting the Travis Manion Foundation. You know, this next part, this is all from me. Don't blame Travis Manion Foundation. These are my comments. I don't stand in front of an audience without telling some jokes. Some that might get me in trouble, and most of them you'll laugh at. So I needed to point this out. It's not lost on me that I'm in a room with a Raising Cane and a Mad Dog. And as a Marine, all I can think, if we had one General Virginia Slim, we'd be Friday night in the barracks right now. I'm just saying, like, get our bellies full and have a little fun. I like that one. I'm going to use that one on TV if that's okay. No endorsement there, I know. No fried chicken endorsement. All right. So listen, it's an honor to be here tonight. We're in Philadelphia. They call it the Cradle of Liberty. They also call it the Athens of America. And it's not just because they drafted the entire UGA championship defense. I know who that is, by the way. That's my colleague. Yeah, go Dogs. We're going to leave it at that. You know, I've only been here once before. I came here for an Army-Navy game right after I was injured. So, you know, I'm still on the pain meds, kind of cloudy, you know, not necessarily with it. And come to think of it, I don't know if I've ever seen this city sober. Which is another thing I have in common with Eagles fans. You know, this isn't just the birthplace of the United States Marine Corps. You know, 250 years ago, not everybody knows this, the very first Marines, and hopefully I got this right, they're Philadelphians, is that right? From Philadelphia, right? But it really makes perfect sense when you think about it, because if you saw the celebration of the Marine Corps 250th birthday balls, and you've seen Eagles fans celebrate the Super Bowl, there's only 2 types of people in the world that celebrate by getting drunk, destroying property, and fighting their best friend. Listen, I got a lot of jokes on that one because I love football. I am a de facto Eagles fan because I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan. But it just really, as a Marine, it's an honor to be in this city. I even wore my bow tie for you. And you know, the first time I came here, I saw there's parking spots in between 2 lanes out on these streets. And the only place I've seen that before is I-285 down in Atlanta, for very different reasons. I was asked to come here tonight, and they asked me to share a little bit of my story, which is kind of odd because it's really not about me tonight, other than the fact I'm a Marine, I guess. But it is important that I tell you a little bit about myself for credibility because, I mean, those jokes were slinging, and they don't get any better. So in 2010, as a Marine sergeant in Afghanistan, I was operating as an EOD technician, explosive ordnance disposal. There we go. I like it. Obviously, I wasn't that good at it. We'll get there. Give me just a minute. Believe it or not, I'm better at telling jokes than I was at taking bombs apart. I did survive 5 months of it, though. I mean, we'll get there. I'm going to be quick about this. And so in 2010, on August 6, 2010, I was on Operation Roadhouse 2 because we're Marines and we name our operations after the best movies. This one was Roadhouse 2, not because of that new movie, but because we tried it once earlier that year and it failed, so we did it again. And so I was on this operation. Long story short, I stepped on an IED, what they called roadside bombs, not really on the roads in Afghanistan. I stepped on an IED, blown through the air, landed on my back. My face felt like it was like, ladies, like a full syringe, you know what I mean? Like my lips. My lips were starting to swell, my face was starting to swell shut. I told that joke in Palm Springs and got beat up by the guys, so I mean, I felt like I could do it here, So I'm laying on my back and the dust settles, I'm looking down, my legs are gone, my left arm was around, it was kind of underneath me, my right arm was thrown out over here, and all I could think in that moment was I'm one hand away from being a chicken nugget, and so I thought my left arm was gone too, and I'm laying there on the battlefield, and I look down and there's this Marine that I was with, Daniel Greer from Tennessee. He was an engineer, he was a reservist, and he was a Tennessee fan. I had more in common with the Taliban. But he's a hell of a man, just a hell of a man. He was a leader in his church, a father, a husband. He was a Marine that was a full-time fireman, became a reservist because he felt like somebody needed to take his buddy's place that got injured. And so I'm laying there, I'm seeing him, he's knocked out, he's looking back at me. And I'm thinking he's okay, so they start working on me, and the last thing I thought was I don't want a Marine to start working on me first because they taught us to chop off the bad flesh and leave the good, and it's like, if I can get somebody from the Navy here, somebody with an education, I might make it, And so finally they get to me, they work on me, and they take Daniel first. And I remember being kind of puzzled by that because the rules of triage, you take the worst first unless the worst doesn't make it. So I'm thinking, it might be my day, So I tell my mom I love her, my son I love him. That girl I've been talking to, we're not there yet, hold off there. And so finally they put me on a stretcher and they run me out, and my eyes swell shut and they knock me out. And I go to sleep, and that's a war story. That's August 6, 2010. I woke up in Landstuhl, Germany on August 8, 2010, and when the lady woke me up, the doctors woke me up. They pulled this tube out. They've been breathing for me. I had a punctured lung, too, and I'm trying to really hit all the wickets there. So when they woke me up, they didn't say much. They got out of the room, and there was just me and a nurse in there. And my mouth was so parched and dry. My throat was on fire. It was cracking. It felt. I couldn't speak. I couldn't do anything. It hurt. It was on fire. And so the lady comes over. The nurse comes over, and she has this styrofoam cup with a popsicle stick and a sponge on the end of it. It's got water in it. And she comes towards my mouth, and I thought, being a Marine, she's going to hold my tongue down and pour that water down my throat, kind of like a reverse waterboarding kind of thing. And that's what I need right now. And so I'm real excited because it hurts so much. I can't talk or can't even move my lips. And she hits that sponge, she goes around my lips. And I thought, you got to grease the skids. I get it. So I'm still trying to say, there's nothing there. It hurts. She keeps doing that. She doesn't let me drink the water. And finally, enough of that water goes in the back of my throat that it loosens everything up. It calms down. The fire calms down. I can speak. I can hear myself. And I looked at her and I said, hey, where's Greer? And she looked back at me, and her face kind of changed, but it didn't get sad. It got solemn. She set the cup down, and she looked at me, and she said, don't worry, hon. You're going to walk again. Now, I point that out anytime I have a chance to address an audience like this because she had the opportunity to change the trajectory of my life forever. The answer to my question was Greer's a few doors down. His parents are saying goodbye to him, his mom and his wife actually, taking him off life support. A piece of a wall hit him in just the right spot. Took his brain activity away. But she looked at me and she said, don't worry, hon, you're going to walk again, because she knew if she answered what I was asking, rather than telling me what I needed to hear, when I needed to hear it, I might go down a path I don't need to go down. Her wisdom and experience kicked in. Or maybe it was God, maybe it was all three. And so I'll point that out for a couple of reasons. First of all, I look in this room and I see people that would look at a guy like me. First reason I pointed out is you should know who Daniel Greer is and be grateful for his service. He sacrificed his life so that I might live. And because that nurse pointed it out to me that night, or that day, that I was going to walk again, I considered that a mission. And when I later found out about Greer's state and that he wasn't around anymore, now I can live for him and to honor him rather than in spite of his death. And so I'll point that out tonight because before we go any further tonight, you need to know that you have that ability yourself. It lives within you. The ability to tell yourself and others what they need to hear, when they need to hear it, even when that's not what they're focused on. People look at me, and there's an anecdote. It's, I don't know how you stay so positive after you lost your legs. And I look back and say, well, I don't know how you're ever negative. You have yours. I'm also smart up just a little bit. And so I point that out to you all tonight because I don't know what it's like to go through bankruptcy or to lose my business, to get fired from an important job. I know a little bit about that, not much. I don't know what it's like to lose my parents, both of them. I don't know what it's like to lose a child. I don't know what it's like to have cancer or to be living with a disease that I know will take my life. But all those things are in this room right now, every single one of them. All those things are represented in this room. They're attacking you. It's adversity in your life. If it isn't you, it's worse. It's somebody you care about. Yet here you are. You've lived through that, and you came here tonight anyway. You're wearing your nicest clothes. You're smiling, taking pictures, having fun, and giving up your two most precious things when it comes to resources, your money and your time. And for a lot of you, for something that will never, you feel like, touch your life directly. And so I came here with a message tonight that I'd like to tell you before we go any further. I was told one time, thank you for your service, and I didn't know what to say back. And my buddy Jake Schick said, bro, it's easy. Look at him and say, thank you for being worth serving. And so I came here tonight to tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, for guys like Daniel Greer, Travis Manion, and those that were much luckier like myself, thank you all for being worth serving. That's as much as you have to hear this accent tonight, and just little things along the way. Okay, we'll keep moving. So tonight you'll hear how Travis Manion Foundation is working to meet veterans before they reach that low point of no return. You'll hear how veterans and families of the fallen are finding purpose through serving their communities, connecting with youth, and finding support in each other to keep them from reaching that pivotal point where they no longer want to live. I'm incredibly grateful to be here tonight to honor the work that each of you and TMF are doing together in the lives of our veterans and the families of the fallen. We're here to celebrate our military, the families who have stood beside them, those who continue to serve through TMF, and above all, the movement that began with one person, First Lieutenant Travis Manion, United States Marine Corps. Yeah. A Philly native, Travis Manion was born into an active duty Marine family, a family that instilled in him early on the values of service and character, a family that stood by him and watched him as he graduated from the United States Naval Academy in 2004, and then shortly after, deployed to Iraq as a United States Marine. A family who received their knock at the door after Travis selflessly gave his life in Iraq on April 29th, 2007, while protecting his wounded teammates. Just 26 years old at the time of that sacrifice, Travis now rests at Arlington National Cemetery next to his Naval Academy roommate and best friend, Brendan Looney, a Navy SEAL who was killed in action in Afghanistan shortly after Travis. Carrying forward Travis's legacy and the 5 words he said before leaving on that second and final deployment, if not me, then who? That is why we're here tonight, to celebrate and honor, to remember and to carry on that ethos forward. There are several people here with us who understand the power of legacy and the pain of loss more than most. Please remain silent as I recognize the fallen heroes whose families join us tonight. Captain Scott Craven, United States Air Force. Hospital Corpsman Riley Gallinger Long, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Jari Hudgens, United States Army. Specialist Matthew June, United States Army. First Lieutenant Robert M. Kelly, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Kevin Lehman, Jr., United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Brendan Looney, United States Navy SEAL. Petty Officer Second Class Andrew McGee Skinner, United States Navy. First Lieutenant Travis Manion, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Christopher Moscow, United States Navy. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Phillips, United States Air Force. First Lieutenant Bruce Richards, United States Army. Sergeant Matthew Sandry, United States Army. Corporal Jose Freddy Velez, United States Army. And Specialist Andrew Velez, United States Army. If you are a family member of the fallen whose hero's name was called and you're able to stand, please do so, and if not, raise your hand. Join me. Thank you. Now, please welcome to the stage United States Marine Corps retired and father to First Lieutenant Travis Manion, Colonel Thomas Manion.
Well, that was great job, Joey. How about another hand for Joey? What a way to kick off a great evening, and just awesome to have everyone here tonight and to be able to come together to honor our military and veterans and our country. You know, as Joey said, the 5 words my son Travis spoke before heading out on his second and final deployment, if not me, then who, have become more than a motto for our family. They become a national call to character, a reminder of what service looks like, a reminder of what America looks like at its very best. But those 5 words didn't start on a poster or in a campaign. They started in our home, in the heart of a young Marine who believed this country was worth every ounce of courage that he had. When we lost Travis, our world changed forever. And yet, even in the sharpest pain a family can experience, there was something in us, something in all of us, that refused to stop, that refused to let his sacrifice be the end of the story. In our home, grief didn't weaken us, it ignited us. And at the center of that fire was my wife, Janet. In the days after losing her son, she sat at our kitchen table and did something both heroic and deeply American. She chose purpose over despair. She wrote down 3 missions she wanted to pursue in Travis's honor. She wanted to be there to support our veterans, to help the families and care for the families of the fallen, and to inspire the next generation to step forward and lead with character. And that was the beginning of the Travis Manion Foundation. Not with resources, not with a roadmap, but with courage. The kind of courage this country was built on. And then came the moment when our daughter Ryan stepped forward to support her mother. From the very beginning, she understood that legacy is not what happens to us, but what we choose to do next. And in those early years, Ryan stood shoulder to shoulder with Janet, helping to build this foundation from scratch. Not because it was easy, but because she felt called to serve something bigger than herself. Then in 2011, the second time in 5 years, our family was tested again when Janet was diagnosed with cancer and just months later, we lost her too. So what do you do when you lose your son and then your wife and the two people who shaped your world? For me, the answer was simple. You rally as a family around the inspiration they left us and continue to push forward and make a difference. We learned later in her will, Janet made one request, that the foundation must continue. And I watched Ryan take that responsibility, that mission, that torch of service, and carry it with the strength I know she inherited from both her brother and her mother. She didn't just continue the work, she took it to the next level. Today, TMF has established chapters across the nation, expanded programs, supported more than 80,000 veterans and families of the fallen, and set us on a course to impact over 1 million young people who will shape the future of this country. The foundation was born from sacrifice, but it has grown from resolve. It's the story of a Marine who believed in something greater than himself, a mother who refused to let grief have the last word, and a daughter who stood tall when the moment called for it. Ryan, as your father, watching you lead with courage, humility, and fire fills me with pride it's hard to put into words. Your mother would be deeply proud. Your brother would be standing tall and your biggest champion. Ladies and gentlemen, the woman who has carried this mission forward with every ounce of her strength. My daughter, the CEO of the Travis Manion Foundation, Ryan Manion.
It is not often I get compliment and praise from my father, so I hope we got that recorded. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. Before I kick off, I just want to share with you that we hit a milestone tonight. We've been doing this gala for many years, but tonight is the first night where we have raised over $1 million. So thank you. Well, good evening. Good evening to all of our honorees, our distinguished guests, and friends of the mission. Every year, I look forward to this night because it's one of the rare moments that we get to stop, look around, and see what happens when a community decides to ask themselves, if not me, then who? We're here to celebrate what you have made possible over the last 12 months. The veterans who found a new mission, the families of the fallen who found a way to carry their loved ones' legacy forward, the young people whose lives were changed because someone showed up for them. 18 years ago, when Travis Manion Foundation started, there was no grand launch, there was no big strategy deck, no idea that we would one day be one of the largest veteran-serving nonprofits in the country. But there was a mother, it was my mother, grieving the loss of her only son. To survive that loss, she did the only thing she knew. She picked up her son's mission and she carried it herself. She poured her pain into purpose, and in the middle of the worst thing a parent can experience, she discovered a truth that still drives everything we do today. Service is what saves us, purpose is what heals us, and community is what carries us forward when we can't walk on our own. When our service members leave active duty, they don't just turn in a uniform. They lose a mission, they lose an identity, they lose the brothers and sisters who always had their back. That kind of loss is its own battlefield. And when that void doesn't get filled, when that mission, that camaraderie, that sense of meaning isn't replaced, the cost is devastating. 20 veterans a day decide the pain is too much. Not because they're weak, not because they failed, but because they feel desperately alone in the very country that they risked everything to protect. The Travis Manion Foundation exists so that no veteran, no family member ever has to stand in that darkness alone. At TMF, veterans don't just find a volunteer shift. They find a lifeline, they find a team again, they find a reason to get out of bed because someone is counting on them to show up. This is what hope actually looks like. It's not a hashtag, it's not a slogan. It's a relentless, unstoppable hope that saves everyone willing to help save someone else. And here is what we believe at our core. Veterans are not problems to be solved. They are assets that this country cannot afford to waste. One of the most powerful outcomes of building community and purpose was something that we didn't originally foresee. And that need was real, urgent, and quietly waiting for someone to step in. TMF filled that space, and lives have been saved because of it. And while we don't know the next challenge ahead, we know this: community and purpose will always position us to meet the moment. Just look at veterans like Aaron Hudgens, who's here with us tonight. Aaron retired from the Army in 2018 after 25 years of service. He came home carrying more than his rucksack: grief from losing his wife, a strained relationship with his son, and the quiet, heavy feeling of being cut off from the community that once defined him. Then Aaron found TMF on an expedition in Arizona with families of the fallen. In that desert, around that campfire, he found more than a trip. He found people who understood. He found space to grieve. He found mission again. Today, Aaron leads our TMF Oklahoma chapter. And just last month, he graduated from our 7-month Spartan Leadership Program, voted by his peers as the model Spartan. Aaron didn't just get his life back. He is now giving life to everyone he leads. And then there's veteran leader John Escalante, also here tonight. John wore the Marine Corps uniform for 30 years. His entire adult life was spent serving this nation. But when the uniform came off, the noise stopped and the silence set in. No mission, no formation, no one calling his name at 0500. He'll tell you himself he was at a low point. Then he found TMF. Today, instead of drifting alone, he's igniting others, bringing veterans together through service in New York City, showing up for his community, mentoring youth as a TMF mentor. He didn't just find a new mission, he became a force multiplier of hope. Aaron and John, would you please stand to be recognized? For Aaron and for John and for thousands like them, TMF is not a club. It's not a checklist of service projects. It's a life vest. It's the hand reaching into the water before the person disappears beneath the surface. TMF pulls veterans in before crisis and moves them to a better place in their lives. Tonight, I want to share with you a few deeply personal stories from veterans and a surviving mother who are part of our community.
I'm successful. Got the nice car, got the house, got a couple of dogs, I got a job. So it looks like I'm a high-functioning veteran, but my check engine light's on. But because this is so high-functioning, and this is all anybody sees, we don't have to look at that.
When Frank decided to serve, I was happy for him. It was his choice, and I supported him 100%.
I was 17 when I joined the Army. There had always been a sense of service.
One of the values that my parents instilled in me was service.
I was supposed to be serving my country, I'm supposed to be serving the cause, and that's there, but the day-to-day, I was serving, your brothers and your sisters that you make a part of your unit.
The friendships that I had made were some of the most amazing bonds I've really ever felt.
My friendship with Kyle was electric. He was everyone's light, the guy who just got along with everyone. It was September 21st, Kyle, he was shot point blank in the stomach with an M9. I hate calling it friendly fire, but that's what it was coined as. I was told, hey, if you're gonna cry, go to the bathroom and get back in here. And then just had to carry on the rest of the day like nothing had happened.
I had sent one of my teams into this courtyard in this home to search it. I turned and I walked away, and as I did, this explosion. That's when I heard the words that will ring in my ears forever. Missildine is dead. Private First Class Jody Wayne Missildine was 19. He was one of my soldiers. And at that moment, I thought his death was all my fault.
When I got back home, I dealt with my feelings and problems by drowning myself in alcohol.
I started drinking heavily. I would go to sleep at night and hope that I wouldn't wake up.
I had shut down quite a bit and shut people out of my life.
I wish my son had connected with somebody, because maybe he would still be here. He was actually on active duty. He would call me every morning, tell me, Mom, I made banana bread, or we went for coffee. Then he just stopped calling me, he stopped taking my calls. It was like he shut me out. I was helping a lady at farming, doing some farm activities, and I remember my husband called me and said, I need you to come home. Frank died to suicide.
My radio operator in Fallujah had killed himself. And it sort of crushed me. I was like, well, why didn't he call? I've always been there for the guys. And I was in my kitchen one day talking about this with another Marine, and he's like, hey, you know what, sir? You know why they don't call? Is because they're afraid to let you down. And they don't want you to think that because they're having these problems that they're weak.
I didn't feel that I could share my experience with anyone and that anyone would understand. I pulled out my Glock, and then a thought popped into my head. I knew exactly what I was gonna do. I was gonna be with Jody, and I got a DUI that night, and I ended up in jail. That DUI probably was the catalyst for me not taking my own life, at least that night.
In February of 2020, I drank myself to borderline alcohol poisoning, and I just slashed my wrists and forearms up. For a while after that, there was more guilt of you attempted it and you couldn't get it done, and now everyone knows something's wrong. It's like now you have to face everything.
I had the opportunity to visit where Jody is laid to rest. His family was so nice. But the big takeaway that I remember having is, hey, you need to live for this man in the way that he can't any longer.
I saw this little article that said Manion Foundation was doing an expedition. I met another mother who had lost a child too, and so we related. It was like, wow, somebody finally understands what I'm going through.
My friend encouraged me to apply to the Spartan Leadership Program. I had no idea how transformative this experience would be.
TMF is much more to me than your typical veteran service organization. They've given me a new purpose.
Manion Foundation's model for impacting against veteran suicide, it's preventative maintenance. Creating the services and the programs and the opportunities for veterans to build skills, wellness, community, find a sense of purpose well before an event happens. Most people aren't doing it. They're focused on the clinical side, which is needed. But if everybody's all in the clinical space, then who's doing the space that has the greatest opportunities for veterans to say, oh, wow, I didn't even realize my check engine light was on. Because I haven't felt this good for the last 10 years until I came to one of your events.
In my head, I'm thinking, I'm only going to this school to talk to some kids, but what I'm getting from that is tenfold.
I don't think I've cried for 25, 30 years until about 6 years ago. I cry all the time now. And you know what? I don't care what people think because it feels so good. I'm the best Marine Corps officer I've ever been today.
I'm 100% confident I would not be alive today if I was not part of this organization. And yet I have so much more to give back. My mission isn't done here.
The stories of Jeremiah, Garrett, Tosh, and Juanita are powerful, but they are not unique. Veterans are 5 times more likely to experience depression than civilians. Since 2001, we have lost more veterans to suicide than combat. That reality is overwhelming, but we refuse to believe that it's unchangeable. At TMF, we have seen with our own eyes that this crisis can be addressed if we show up early enough. Major Brian Shantosh, a Marine Corps veteran, Navy Cross recipient, and instructor in our Spartan Leadership Program, describes it this way. When our veterans are battling depression, anxiety, and untreated PTSD, they are driving through life with the check engine light on. They keep going because that's what they were trained to do. They ignore the warning light. They don't want to bother anyone. They don't want to be the one who needs help. They don't want to let anyone down, so they quietly break. Our TMF staff and Spartan leaders across the country are the ones waving them down, saying, "We see your light. You're not crazy. You're not broken. Let's pop the hood before the engine fails." They're walking beside them, giving them tools, community, and purpose to navigate the next chapter of their lives, showing them that their identity was never just about the rank on their chest or the uniform on their back. It was the way they showed up for others. And here's where something powerful happens. When we recognize that a veteran in our community needs more than peer support, when they need clinical care, serious specialized help, we don't let them slip through the cracks. We walk them straight to the people we trust. When we identify that one of our veterans need help, we refer them to our close partners at Wounded Warrior Project, who provide access to best-in-class clinical mental health support to post-9/11 veterans and their families. To our partners at Wounded Warrior Project here tonight, thank you. Thank you for picking up the phone. Thank you for saying yes when we call you about yet another warrior who needs you. Thank you for treating these men and women like the heroes that they are. I have seen firsthand the results. I've seen the light come back into veterans' eyes. I've seen families get their husbands, wives, sons, daughters, and siblings back. If you are a veteran here tonight who is struggling, or if you love a veteran who is struggling, please hear me clearly. You are not a burden. You are not alone, and asking for help is a form of courage. Talk to Wounded Warrior Project. Their suite of tailored mental health services will get you the help that you need and deserve. When we invest in veterans and families of the fallen, something extraordinary happens. This year alone, Dad, this year alone, he wanted to make sure I emphasized that part, our veteran mentors have impacted the lives of over 60,000 young adults across the country through our Character Does Matter program, powered by Under Armour. That is not just programming. That is a generation learning what character, service, and courage look like in real life. With our recent acquisition of another veteran service organization, the mission continues. We now have 60 volunteer-led TMF chapters across the country. That is 60 places where veterans and families of the fallen are not just being served, they are the ones leading the service, uniting communities, rebuilding neighborhoods, inspiring more Americans to live the if not me, then who ethos. Over the life of this organization, more than 300,000 veterans and families of the fallen have found a home and a mission through TMF. Those numbers are big, but our core mission has never changed. We invest in veterans and families of the fallen, and we give them opportunities to lead and serve in their communities, not just because we owe them for all they've sacrificed, but because our country still needs them. We need their leadership. We need their example. We need their willingness to say one more time, if not me, then who? So as we continue tonight, I want to leave you with this question. Will someone fix this is not it. The question is, will we answer the call? If not me, then who is not just something my brother said before his final deployment. It's a challenge to every person in this room. If not us, then who will show up for our veterans? If not us, then who will stand with our Gold Star families? If not us, then who will teach the next generation what character looks like? My hope is that when you walk out of here tonight, you don't just remember a nice gala or a touching video. I hope you walk out carrying that question with you, and I hope that you become part of the answer. Because the next chapter of the Travis Manion Foundation will be our most impactful yet. We have the momentum, we have the leaders, we have the evidence that our model works. And now, we have the responsibility to scale it, to reach thousands more veterans who still need a mission, and thousands more young adults who need their example. We're building a movement, a living, breathing reminder that service does not end at discharge, and love of country does not fade with time. And with your partnership, we will ensure that the if not me, then who ethos becomes part of our national DNA. Travis gave us the words, you have given us the momentum, and together we are going to carry this mission forward until every community in America feels its impact. Thank you. Before I leave the stage tonight, it is my honor and privilege to introduce a leader who embodies this ethos, the 22nd Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, United States Air Force.
Well, you know, I just wrote down, never follow Ryan Manion on a mission in life. She is a force of nature and a national asset. So a round of applause for Ryan, please, here. And Joey, we are glad you are here as we think about your service and sacrifice. And I remember Daniel Greer. I remember Daniel Greer. A round of applause for Daniel Greer here. General Mattis, great to see you, sir. General Dunford, when I came into this job, I did not plan on coming to this job, by the way, but the first person I called was General Dunford, and I said, what do I do? And he said, just stay frosty and keep your cool. So, sir, thanks so much. Distinguished guests, awardees, friends, families of our fallen, most importantly, I, along with our teammates that are here tonight to represent the 2.8 million members of the Joint Force, are deeply, deeply grateful to be here this evening to honor a really, really special organization that pours so much into so many, remembering the gift, the fantastic gift of a perfect American example, and that is Travis Manion and Brandon Looney, who gave so much to us. It's not just what they said, it's how they lived. It's the perfect example of what right looks like. It's the perfect example of being great Americans, not Americans. And they leaned in every single moment of their life, from their time at Navy through their time in service. I still routinely think of them, and many times have walked through that incredibly hallowed ground in Arlington Cemetery and gone to see these two great Americans who rest together, showing that brotherhood starts not only on the battlefields, but over in that place in Annapolis where I hear there's a football game this weekend. And I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. For nearly 250 years, though, extraordinary Americans like Travis have put on the cloth of our nation and taken the road less traveled. And through their example, we find the spirit and courage that lives to this day in our joint force. It's humbling for me in this job to move around the joint force and see their DNA still existing today in the service and sacrifice of the 2.8 million teammates that I'm so blessed to serve with. Travis was the best of us. He always put others first. He believed in stepping up. He believed in taking responsibility. And as his amazing sister and father both said, he lived the ethos of if not me, then who? And always asked, who will answer this call? I must move towards this problem, not away from it. He believed in that to the very end, even to his last and final patrol, as his roommate did. And as I think about the perfect gift of a great example that they give, it just brings me great pride and humility in what it means to be a citizen of this great nation. And it's their lives, the lives of Travis and Brendan and their mother and their father and their sister, and everyone else who pours into this great organization, that we find what it means to be servant leaders. It's in their example of what we find, this Spartan symbol up here, to pour into others, to do things that only we can do to help our fellow citizens. We can learn so much from their example, and we do every day. And it's TMF that I've known for many years, walking in Dallas when I lived there and having a chance to participate in some TMF walks, to see young people who see these examples of service and sacrifice and then go start to do those things themselves because they see what right looks like. And the mission that you all continue to do today, whether it's encouraging people to join our joint force, join the military, or move into classrooms and teach, or in healthcare, or serve on the streets as a police officer, or a firefighter, or a diplomat, or a scientist, or an entrepreneur, or a lawyer, or somebody who works in nonprofit. It's by trying to make life just a little bit better for somebody else, for our fellow citizens. That's the ethos of if not me, then who? And it's this foundation that I've watched for many years from far away, but seen the impact that this organization has had, not just on veterans, but on Americans around the country, that makes me so humbled to be here tonight. It's the work that all of you do, the donors, the teammates, the volunteers, the members of this organization that continue to get up in the morning and think and say to themselves, how am I going to earn this today? And pour into another person. It's the work of the foundation, but it's also the work of the individuals that make up this foundation that is absolutely, extraordinarily humbling to see. And I appreciate personally how much you pour into the joint force. We can feel it. We can feel it and we can see it every day as we bump into TMF teammates who are moving around the joint force. And you give a lot of us a place to land. When we graduate from service, I don't say retirement very much. None of these great leaders who are in the room have retired. They've just graduated from one chapter of service into another. And whether you served 20 years or you served 20 days, bless you, somebody over here sneezed, you still continue to serve. Because the spirit of service that percolates the joint force is real, it's substantive, it's something that we pour into. And I'm so humbled tonight in particular by the Gold Star families that are here, who continue to show us what courage, tenacity, grit, love, and selflessness is. It's extraordinarily humbling for those of us that are still serving to be around each and every one of you. It is through you and you and you that we find the real gift of a great example. It's through your sacrifice, through the struggle and pain that you go through, yet the tenacity, the grit, you make a decision to make an impact on others. You could take a different path, but you don't. You make a decision to serve and make life better for somebody else, and to carry on the gift that your loved one gave all of us and gave the nation. So I'm deeply humbled to be here tonight with each and every one of you. And as I always do, I want all of us tonight to remember those members of the Joint Force who are out there right now doing America's business, who are going out into the darkness, who are undersea or on the land or on amphibious ships around the world or in the air, deployed away from their families, doing our nation's business, especially this time of the year. And again, I'd like to thank our honored And again, I'd like to thank those teammates and friends here, most importantly, our Gold Star families, who on behalf of all of us in the Joint Force, thank you for the gift of an absolutely perfect example. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year, and thanks for letting me be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kaint. All right, well, I'm the only thing standing between you and food, and it's about that time, so I'm going to make this real short and sweet. Dinner is about to be served, so throughout the meal, there's going to be a bar open, I believe if I'm reading this correctly, to my right, to the right over there. So feel free to partake in that, but now it says to the left of the stage, and my other one says to the right, so I don't know which way I'm looking. Look for the people having a good time. I bet there's a bar close by. You're welcome to check that out. But before you do that, and before we get the food out there, please enjoy this message from our sponsor for the evening, Americans.
Americans is a veteran-owned business that specializes in portable sanitation for the construction and special events industry. We started here in Virginia, and since then we have expanded our footprint to several states across the United States. We provide climate-controlled restaurant facilities. We provide freshwater delivery and wastewater containment services, bulk hauling services, basically anything that has to do with waste or water on a job site we can support.
Americans stands above the rest because of their dedication to veterans. I'm proud to work for Americans because I get to provide every day opportunity to provide hope and purpose for a veteran like myself.
Americans gives a significant portion of our proceeds directly to the Travis Manion Foundation to help support their mission.
Every service we provide, we have a portion of that is donated to ensure that veterans aren't left behind.
Knowing that we support the Travis Manion Foundation and the Gold Star families is the reason why I'm here with Americans.
Please enjoy this message from our presenting sponsor for the evening, Hunt Military Communities.
Military life means new orders, new challenges, another goodbye. At Hunt Military Communities, we understand. It's why we've spent over 50 years partnering with the Department of Defense to do more than just provide housing. We build real communities. Here, neighbors become like family. They share experiences and understand the unique journey you're on. With a host of amenities, vibrant community events, and a dedicated maintenance team providing 24/7 maintenance, we create a sense of home. no matter where your service takes you. Deployed service members can have peace of mind knowing their families are supported back home. At Hunt Military Communities, we place the resident experience at the heart of everything we do through genuine care, exceptional service, and unmatched value.
All right. Having fun? Still eating? That food's good, I'll tell you right now. I enjoyed every minute of it. Listen, welcome back. And before we continue with our awards, I'd like to acknowledge those who've made the evening possible. Obviously, these are our sponsors, people that have ponied up to make this happen. First, I want to recognize our two presenting sponsors who you just heard from, Americans. I mean, if that's not a Marine way to do things right there. And then also, of course, Hunt Military Communities. So Americans is a longtime supporter of Travis Manion Foundation, and its founding partner, Pat Ford, has been a generous donor for many years. Brian Stan, the CEO of Hunt, is not only a Marine, he was also one of Travis Manion's best friends and has been a supporter of Travis Manion Foundation since it was an idea fleshed out around the Manion family kitchen table, as Colonel Manion mentioned before dinner. There are several other sponsors I'd like to recognize, so please hold your applause until the end. That's a test. We'll see if you can pass it. Probably not. All right. At the warrior level, we have Wounded Warrior Project. Now, see, it's because the bar was open. At the executive level, Barstool Sports. We have Steve and Margot Burns' family, Alex and Patricia Gorski, Jocko Fuel, Johnson and Johnson, Morrell Family Foundation, Penn Medicine. Now, this next one, before I read, I just want to tell you, I have worn this stuff so much. I've got one from so far away, it's probably got like asbestos in it, like from the first days. This is Under Armour. And at the leadership level, Advanced Aviation Team, Black Rifle Coffee Company, Sean and Felicia Daly, the Golwaz Family Foundation, Kenview, Penn Mutual, and Porretta and Orr. All right, that's the list. Please join me in thanking these generous supporters. Clap and be loud. Just so you know, in my day job, when it's a name other than Smith or Jones, I get my co-host to pronounce it. And so that was an exercise in humility for me. So for all of you, if I tweaked your name a little bit, I'm doing the best I can. Still learning. When your accent is pouring banjo or pouring sweet tea over a banjo, anything you get right, you're happy about. All right, now to our first award of the evening. This honor is a perfect example of the chain reaction created by acting with character. Each year, Travis Manion Foundation selects one special student from the tens of thousands who represent TMF's and Travis's ethos. Of course, if not me, then who? And to that student, we award a scholarship, along with the commitment to continue to support them as they grow as a leader of character. 2 years ago, we were honored to name this scholarship for Scott Belville, an irreplaceable member of the TMF Board of Directors we lost in 2023. I want to thank Scott's wife, Carolyn, who joins us here this evening to continue Scott's legacy of service. With his memory in mind, as well as the memory of all the fallen heroes who inspire TMF's work. Join me as we learn a little more about this year's scholarship recipient.
It didn't feel like I truly belonged anywhere. It gets to the point where nothing will get better. I can't deal with this anymore. You realize that you shouldn't be feeling like that, and you shouldn't be thinking those thoughts, let alone ever acting upon them. But when you're in that so deep, it's hard to think about any of it past that. I am an only child. It didn't seem like I could truly find intense amounts of happiness. It didn't feel like I had comfortable friends. It felt like my family only cared about me because they were obligated to, and it was hard to see myself going on. I ended up in and out of the mental hospital and was struggling a lot with suicidal ideation. I had ended up calling my grandpa. He just said, "I want to see you get married one day, and I want to be able to walk you down the aisle." These other people want to be there to celebrate me in my big moments, no matter what I do, and was something that I didn't know that I needed, but was truly just like the turning point in my experience. So I was introduced to TMF about 5 years ago in the spring of my 7th grade year by Mel basically coming into the school and giving us his own elevator pitch on a leadership club.
Appreciate everybody being here this evening. I'm Sergeant Major Hoffman, retired Army vet, the TMF River Falls chapter. Also, the pleasure of mentoring these Pathfinders. Retired from the Army in 2009 after 34 years. The camaraderie, the family, that's what you really miss the most. Now I've got a new family. 1, TMF, and 2, the TMF Club with the Pathfinders. So that's the new family.
We are at DeSanctis Park in River Falls, Wisconsin, here for our River Falls Pathfinders 9/11 Heroes Run with TMF.
We are there to strive for being the best us we can, and truly making sure that we can not only grow ourselves to be better, but grow our community and the people in it to be better.
It's really about them growing and showing off their skills. But one of the biggest things about the TMF Club and the kids in it is I genuinely care. And I think that's what most of the kids really need. These kids just make you appreciate the fact that there are plenty of good people still in the world, and if these kids are able to, they're gonna make changes, and it's a pleasure being with them. It keeps me young.
Mel has been one of the biggest parts of my life throughout the years that I've been a part of this. He's such a role model. He's truly exemplified what it means to be an incredible leader and what these character traits mean on an everyday and on a focused level. Mel cares about us for who we are as people. The main thing that I've tried to do is provide an avenue for everyone to be heard. And that's truly where I think the success comes from. Because of TMF, I have grown so incredibly much as a person. Finding not only strength and try to be better through the teachings of TMF, but then to find a family that cares and that supports you no matter what. These people and these teachings will stick with me throughout my entire life.
I think without a doubt, perseverance is what I respect about Kira the most. Knowing where she was and knowing where she is today, it's a much more positive place than it was 5 years ago. I'm very proud of that young lady.
TMF has given me a gift of not only learning, but of something that I want to continue doing in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage this year's recipient of the Scott Belville Memorial Scholarship Award, Kira Salney.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't begin to express the immense amount of gratitude for where I'm able to be tonight. I love public speaking. I love public speaking. I'm a massive theater nerd, but I had a really hard time coming up with the proper words to really encapsulate what this means to me. I could ramble for hours about how this opportunity will permanently change the trajectory of my life, but try and be a little succinct. Thank you. Truly, from the bottom of my heart. I could never have imagined being here today when I first joined my Travis Manion Foundation Youth Club 5 years ago, and I have every single person here to thank for that. TMF has helped me find myself in ways that I could never have imagined, giving me lifelong friends, mentors, and lessons that are indispensable. I found my passion, and because of the teachings of TMF, I want to dedicate my life to helping the world we live in, for me specifically through animal conservation and teaching younger generations about the impact they can make. I'm genuinely excited for my future, and I actually feel like I can make a difference, which was something that I didn't have before TMF. I want to thank everyone here for giving me the opportunity and the means to make a difference. I want to thank my parents for always standing behind me, letting me go into this crazy adventure head first, and always being there to support me through it. I want to thank the other club members back home in River Falls, each of whom is an incredible person who would be just as deserving to stand here today, who has given me the ability to grow and fall and always have someone to lean back on, truly my second family. Thank you, most importantly, to Mel Hoffman, my mentor. Most of the people in this room know him from his involvement with TMF, but aside from his introduction into TMF, he has not only brought me here, but he has given me a reason to stay alive. I don't get to thank you enough for how you have permanently changed me. You've saved me again and again and helped me find the person I want to be. Your genuine love for us is a beacon in the dark.
And even when I leave and graduate, I will never have to worry about the Pathfinders, because I know you will always be there to support them and help them follow their dreams, just like you've done for me. And of course, and most importantly, thank you to the Travis Manion Foundation and every single person that has helped make this dream a reality. You've changed my life in unimaginable ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Kira, and congratulations. Our next award is the Community Leadership Award, given to a company or foundation that has served as an exceptional partner to TMF and its mission of empowering veterans and families of the fallen. I'm proud to present this year's Community Leadership Award to a longtime partner of TMF and a dedicated supporter of veterans, Jocko Fuel. So, founded in 2016 by retired Navy SEAL Jocko Willink, please join me as we watch this special message from Jocko.
When the uniform comes off, the mission does not end. For the men and women of the Travis Manion Foundation, service isn't something that you did. Service is who you are. The Travis Manion Foundation builds leaders. They give back, they teach, they support, and they strengthen our communities and our nation. And at Jocko Fuel, we believe in that exact same mission. Discipline, integrity, and service above self. And that is why we stand with the Travis Manion Foundation. That's why we are proud to partner with them on, yes, cookies and cream protein milk. That is a nod to Travis's favorite cookie, and it's a way to give back to the mission he lived for. And this is a mission that continues. In every act of service, in every young leader rising up, in every person who decides to step forward and say those solemn words, if not me, then who?
It's my pleasure to introduce Jocko Fuel's president, who will accept the award on behalf of the company. Please welcome to the stage, Joe Masciato. Let me draw this again. I'm going to do it right. Mascianio. Mascianio. Joe, come up here and tell me how to say it.
But you got to go home with me. I forgot some good old love, and then I got some in the store. When I get through throwing it on you, you got to come back for more. Boys and things will come by the dozen. That ain't nothing but drugstore loving. Pretty little thing, let me light your count, cause mama, I'm sure hard to hell and now, yes, around.
Wow, what an amazing night this has been. From Marine Corps heroes, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, my boss, Jocko, on the screen. It's no wonder Ryan gave the protein salesman 1 minute to get this award done. So I will be brief. You know, on behalf of the entire Jocko Fuel Company, I really want to thank Ryan, Colonel Manion, the entire Travis Manion team. You know, we're beyond honored to be a small part of this movement. Every Friday, we come together as an all-hands-on-deck meeting, and Jocko closes it out with a statement. He says, do the right things for the right reasons. Well, working with the Travis Manion Foundation is no doubt the right thing to do, but it's because of the reason. The work that they do is important. The work they do with veterans, and also what they do to instill the if not me, then who values to our next generation. We're honored to continue to work and support this team for many years to come. So thank you so much for this award, and have a wonderful night.
All right. Congratulations, Joe. I have 3 names, and they all have the same letters, okay? It's tough. All right, our next award recognizes a member of the Travis Manion Foundation community who epitomizes the 5 words that guide the mission every day. If not me, then who? Recipients of this award demonstrate tremendous character, excellent leadership abilities, unwavering dedication to helping others, and a hopeful vision for the future. This year's recipient is a Marine Corps veteran. Hoorah. Caught you sleeping now. You got it better than that. Who has invested over 7 years into the TMF community, creating impact across nearly every program. Since 2018, he has stepped up to lead service projects. He has served as a 9/11 Heroes Run race director in his community of Raleigh. He has hosted the Manion WAD Workout of the Day, taught the value of character to youth as a veteran mentor, graduated from the 7-month Spartan Leadership Program, and has led his community as the TMF chapter leader in Raleigh. Most recently, he completed the 250-mile ruck in honor of the Marine Corps' 250th birthday, raising over $10,000 for Travis Manion Foundation, right? Let's take a look at his story.
Hello? Tell me about Chad Johnson.
Chad Johnson, where to begin?
Was this innate feeling, I think, that Chad holds within himself. This idea that perhaps he's not worthy.
Rocking to the ton, baby. All the way from Iwo Jima. Raise some money for TMF along the way and bring honor and glory back to the Marine Corps. Rah!
Being a Marine was probably the greatest thing that I ever did. I just had this unwavering desire that freedom wasn't free. And I felt like that I needed to pay that back. And I just couldn't shake that feeling that I had. I was in for 4.5 years. I was in Iraq in '03. For me, it was when I put that uniform on, it's with a sense of pride. And I did that every single day that I was in because I had that much respect for those men and women that came before me. My wife and I wanted to have kids at the time, so at that point I decided that it was my time to get out, so that was in late 2004. At the time we moved to Raleigh, I started my career at Fidelity, and I felt lost. We're still trying to figure out what's next. Like when you're in the military, you're one of those guys, right? If something goes down, somebody calls you, you're the guy that takes care of it. But then when you get out, I didn't know how to handle that.
So, like, when you wake up in the morning and, you know, look at yourself in the mirror and you really don't like what's looking back at you and you don't know how to fix that, and then you, like, kind of stumble through your day and you're thinking, it wouldn't matter if I was gone. It wouldn't matter if I didn't show up to work. It wouldn't matter if I didn't come home because my life isn't worth the extra energy.
22 veterans still take their own lives in this country every day. You wake up and you don't know where you are. You have dreams about things that you've seen or things that you've done, and you don't sleep well.
You stand on the edge of a high building and you're like, I could jump. Or a bridge saying, it wouldn't matter. Like, normal people don't think like that.
And so what gets you through that, what moves you to the other side? First and foremost, thank you everyone for being here for the 2025 9/11 Heroes Run for the Travis Manion Foundation. Post-service, I always felt like my desire to serve hasn't ever changed. I've always wanted to give back to my community. When I found out what TMF was and what their mission was, it was something that resonated with me highly. I got involved pretty quickly. I look at the Travis Manion Foundation as a badge of honor. When I put this logo on, I have to be my best self. I have to be the best I can be because it matters. I have an opportunity to show the world, and even on a small scale, like just how incredibly important positive character can be. And I know that like if somebody hadn't taken time to do that for me when I needed it, I don't know where I'd be.
One of the things that I love about Chad is while he may come off as like the hard Marine guy a lot of the times, he loves people and he invests in people. And that's where he likes to give his time. This has given him a place to do that consistently. He always comes back and he tells me some story about someone that he seems to care very deeply about. And so that's really awesome. It's really awesome. It gives him purpose. It gives him an avenue to give back. He actually wanted to go back into the Marines much later in life, and he feels like he missed an opportunity to continue to serve. And so now he gets that chance.
You know, survivor's guilt is real. And so having to face that as a service member, knowing that incredible men and women have lost their lives, and to think back like, why am I still here? Why am I the one that was spared? Like, that's tough. That's a hard thing to live with. Being part of this organization helps me deal with that, helps me through that, and through some of the vulnerability, I found strength. They've treated me like family since the very beginning, and they've allowed me to figure out what, you know, true humility is, what it means to be humble.
Everything Chad does is to take care of someone else. You know, he helps you feel like you belong.
His heart and his passion for others definitely stands out.
You're absolutely a great example of someone who truly embodies, if not me, then who, in everything that they do.
You are worthy. You are not an imposter. You are the real deal, Marine.
Semper Fidelis, Chad.
Love you, Chad.
Love you, brother.
And I love you, too.
I don't know that I would still be here if I hadn't found the Travis Manion Foundation. All of this is about making the world a better place for those around me than it was when I inherited it. I want to continue to serve because I still feel like there's work to be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the 2025 If Not Me, Then Who award recipient, Marine Corps veteran Chad Johnson.
You know, I've seen that video like 50 times, and I figured if I just watched it enough times, it would desensitize myself. Every time I see my wife cry, it gets me, every time. So before I say anything else, I want to thank the person who's been the greatest source of strength, clarity, and accountability, my wife, Kristen. You believed in me even when I struggled to believe in myself. Your love, your honesty, and your unwavering support have shaped me into a better man. This recognition tonight is just as much yours as it is mine. So tonight, instead of a big, long speech, I figured I would tell you a couple of stories. The first is about a missed phone call from, yeah, you guessed it, Ryan Manion. I was in a meeting and I received a voicemail and it says, hey Chad, it's Ryan Manion. I have something I want to discuss with you. Can you give me a call back? And I'm like, why would Ryan Manion be calling me? This cannot be good. It was a week before my 9/11 Heroes run in Raleigh, and so naturally I thought she was calling to fire me as the race director. Needless to say, I don't remember what that meeting was about, and so I called her back and she says, I have some good news. The board and I have selected you for the If Not Me Then Who Leadership Award this year. And for those who know me, know I'm rarely speechless, but in this particular instance, I was entirely lost for words. I'm pretty sure I said thank you, and I said something smart, I hope, because I don't really remember. I hung up and I sat in a daze. My wife walked in and she's like, is everything okay? And I said, oh, I won the leadership award. And she hugged me and said, you should be really proud. And then it hit me. I thought, why me? There are so many other incredible Spartans out there. I mean, just juggernauts. People like Monica Velez, who taught us all how to struggle well and with grace. People like Rooster Rossiter, who built Ainsley's Angels to make running accessible for everybody. And Spartans like Earl Lundy himself, the OG Spartan, Superman himself, reminded me to never let anyone keep me from my own greatness. And then I remember this one time in high school. I was a senior, played on the football team, and I thought I had it all figured out. The truth be told, I was kind of a hoodlum. And unbeknownst to me, my coach knew it too. And after a subpar practice one day, he said, what's going on? And he basically accused me of not giving my all. And I shrugged it off, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And he said, look, there are a lot of things in your life that you can't control, but there is one thing you can control, and that's your attitude. And your attitude is going to dictate the outcome one way or another. And then he handed me a challenge coin that said, attitude is everything on it. And at that time, I didn't understand the significance of that coin until I joined the military. But I carried that coin with me every single day for years until I gave a very similar speech to one of my Marines before we stepped off into combat. So I doubt Coach Phil ever thought that those words that day would have changed the trajectory of my life, but I'm grateful that he saw something in myself that I couldn't see. Here's the point. We never really know how far the ripples we create are going to affect other people. One small moment, one small phrase can change somebody's life. I never got a chance to say thank you to Coach Phil, so wherever he is, I hope he knows his words made a humongous difference, and I'm grateful for that. But any one of us could be that same exact influence, and that's what this foundation is all about. Every time we step in front of a sports team, a group of kids, or a group of adults, it can make all the difference. And what we say is just as important as what we do. And it's our ability to spread positivity, and our actions is what makes us Spartans. And our actions certainly speak louder than our words. Truth is, I've never really thought of myself as being great at anything except being a Marine. But tonight, perhaps that changes. I recognize the magnitude of the people that are in this room, this foundation, and this moment. And I'm incredibly proud to be standing here, and I promise I won't let you down. Failure is not really in my DNA. You all continue to motivate me, and I'm so much better for that. I'm eternally grateful. Thank you to Ryan, Colonel Manion, and the board for allowing me to represent the Travis Manion Foundation in this manner, and to thank every Spartan in here who showed me what true leadership looks like. I want to leave today with two quotes. One is from former President Ronald Reagan. He said, freedom is never more than one generation from extinction. It is not ours by inheritance. It must be safeguarded and defended by each generation. And in this room, that truth is lived, not in abstraction, but in the enduring sacrifices and legacies of the heroes and family who bear freedom's cost. And the second quote is from one of my personal friends, Dr. Camille Miner, who said, don't limit your challenge, but challenge your limits. So tonight really isn't about me, it's about all of us. It's about the heroes and the names that we carry forward. Freedom's cost is written in their sacrifice, and it is our duty to honor it with action. So let's leave here committed to serve and to live those words that guide us. If not me, then who? Hoorah! Thank you.
Congratulations, Chad. Hoorah! So our next guest is what you would call highly esteemed. Now, I would argue the most important thing he did, or accolade, he gave me my last promotion in the Pentagon. Because back then, if you lost your legs in war and you were willing to ask, you'd just about get anything. But I guess more importantly than any of that, was vice chair. So he, as vice chairman of Travis Manion Foundation's board of directors, he's a passionate supporter of the mission. So at this time, I want you to, again, hoorah, real loud and obnoxious, and welcome to the stage Marine Corps veteran and the 19th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph F. Dunford, Jr.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege this evening of introducing our guest of honor, and I'm going to be noticeably brief. First, in this crowd, there's not much you have to say about the most accomplished and most competent senior leader in his generation. Secondly, I have watched over the years many people try to introduce General Mattis at events like this, and have had a chance to get long-winded from time to time. And he will typically come up to the podium, brush the person who's giving the introduction aside, and their shelf life is measured more in seconds than in minutes. And I will endeavor to finish my introduction before he makes it from this table to this podium. But on a serious note, I had the privilege of working for General Mattis in 4 different assignments on active duty. And then we overlapped in the Pentagon. In my final assignment as the chairman, he was the Secretary of Defense for 2 years. And I could tonight talk at length about his physical courage in combat. He taught me more about tactics, the operational art, and strategy than any single leader that I've served with in 42 years. I could talk about the impact, and many of you could as well, the impact that he had on every single Marine, sailor, soldier, airman that he ever served with. But what I'm going to do is just share one brief anecdote that captures the essence of the man. And I'm going to talk about 2 words: compassion and character. When he finished 40 years of active duty, I think we could have all understood if he checked off the net and went to some tropical island and rested, given his career. But his final act was to drive cross country and visit personally with the Gold Star families of the individuals who had lost their lives under his leadership. An incredible act that speaks to the man. And by the way, I think we all know as leaders, you really know a leader by what they do in private and not what they do in public. And that captures the essence of General Mattis. And the other thing that I would say in terms of character is I have watched him make decisions both in uniform and in the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. And he's an individual who does the right thing for the right reasons under any circumstances. He's the perfect individual to bring this evening home because he spent over 50 years asking that same question that Travis Manion asked. If not me, then who? And you know what? For 50 years, he answered the call. Ladies and gentlemen, our 26th Secretary of Defense, General Jim Mattis.
Thank you, General Dunford. That's quite an introduction. You were within 12 seconds of being yanked off the stage, I assure you. But you are a role model Joseph, of an admired servant leader for all of us in the military, even those who are senior to you. And we owe you a special debt of gratitude, you and your bride of many years, for your service. Colonel Manion, Tom, my friend, Ryan, good to see you again. General Kane, may God ride with you and the spirits of our founding fathers as you go back to D.C. in your duties tonight. There are so many of you here. So many of you I'd like to call out by name, but we'd be here all night, and you've heard probably some of the most stirring remarks that go to the very heart of what we all stand for and what we will not stand for at the same time. It's my honor to stand with you tonight because gatherings, I think, like this reflect the best traditions of our country. In America, we have always recognized that democracy is not a spectator sport, and neither is citizenship. Rather, they demand engagement, sacrifice, and above all, unity of purpose. Organizations like the Travis Manion Foundation embody that spirit, reminding us that no matter our backgrounds, we are all co-equal custodians of our democracy, bound by a shared responsibility to this republic we cherish. Now, it takes a lot these days, ladies and gentlemen, to pry me away from my quiet town on the Columbia River in the Pacific Northwest. It's where life is sane. The mountains reach up to the sky to remind us of the illimitable horizons that Americans have. And the hardware store's conversations are much more honest than social media. Still, when the Manion family calls, you don't hesitate. You grab your bride, your tux, and you head east. East to Philadelphia, of all places. Why, that's like taking a Westerner back to our country's roots. The city that's the cradle of our radical experiment in democracy, here where the Declaration was drafted, here where the Constitution was compromised on and hammered out, that same Constitution that General Kane and his 2.8 million troops have signed a blank check to every one of us in this room to defend at the peril of their lives. And here where the Liberty Bell actually cracked, yet its message continues to ring true. And as Joey reminded us, thank you, Joey, it's always the home place of the United States Marine Corps. Appropriately enough, in a tavern filled with rowdy patriots who believed that liberty was worth fighting for, and yes, worth their very lives, Marines love Philadelphia. We never found our way out of that tavern. Honestly, if you had known me at age 18, the boisterous kid for whom a judge once decided a short stay in jail might adjust my behavior, you would not have bet I would ever be invited to a place like the Awesome Union Club. But for reasons known only to God, the United States Marine Corps took me in where being boisterous is somewhere between a competitive advantage and a job requirement. And that began a journey that leads to this room tonight, where I am humbled, ladies and gentlemen, to even be mentioned in the same breath as Travis Manion, a young man who represents all I love most about the Marines and about America. That stubborn belief that service matters, that courage is contagious, and that we owe something to those who came before us. Travis' example also reminds us that we need to be worthy ancestors to future generations of Americans, so they can look back on us with the same respect like when we look back on the Founding Fathers or the greatest generation. The Travis Manion Foundation has carried forward that legacy with devotion and ingenuity. In a time when far too many veterans face isolation, homelessness, and despair, this foundation pulls them back into the fold, reminding them that purpose doesn't evaporate when the uniform comes off, and that the communities that they defended overseas still need their leadership and their devotion when they come back here home. And I want to highlight something even deeper. The Travis Manion Foundation represents what America today must rediscover: trust, unity, duty, and the daily habit of looking out for one another. When I travel across this nation, and I do a lot on college campuses or my local hardware store, a question always comes up more than any other: is there hope? And I share, yeah, at times I'm worried about certain things, but I have hope. I'm worried because these are stern times, the kinds of times when storm clouds gather abroad and at home. We see autocrats making murderous mischief overseas, and we see a corrosive division here at home, people shouting but rarely listening, convinced the neighbor who votes differently is the enemy. We know better, and our history tells us so. America has weathered darker nights before, and she will again, because she has men and women willing to hold the line, democracy's line. And here's where the hope comes in. I believe in what James Baldwin said: there isn't as much humanity in this world as one would like, but there is enough. And I believe in what Marines have always understood in battle: when the bullets start flying, no one cares where you were born, what your politics are, or what language your grandparents spoke. What matters is character, Travis Manion type character, your competence, Travis Manion type competence, and your courage, Travis Manion type courage. That's a reminder that our entire country needs right now. We don't need more celebrities, we need more heroes, genuine heroes, like Travis Manion, who lived the simple truth: if not me, then who? Heroes like Travis remind us to replace cynicism with responsibility, to see political opponents in our democracy not as enemies, but as fellow citizens, and to accept the uncomfortable fact that the person we disagree with might occasionally be right. As Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. That's not a slogan, that's an operating manual for citizenship, and that's a reminder of the Manion family. And Marine veterans know that something about that. We learn that unity isn't uniformity of thinking. We Americans can be a rough bunch, stubborn, spirited, unapologetic. Yet when the mission is clear, we stand shoulder to shoulder, working together. That unity and purpose that Ryan shared and showed and demonstrated every day is what has held our Marine Corps together for 250 years, from the dark Belleau Wood to the bloody Helmand, from freezing Chosin Reservoir to fierce Fallujah. Travis Manion lived and died with that same clarity of purpose, and his family is ensured that purpose did not stop at the edge of the battlefield. It lives on in classrooms and communities, in thousands of veterans and young Americans who choose service over cynicism, and it lives on in this room. Abraham Lincoln, whose statue stands in the next room, he warned us that America would not fall to foreign armies. He said that no combination of foreign powers could drink from the Ohio River or make tracks over the Blue Ridge unless we first lost our moral compass and common purpose. He said, if destruction be our fate, we ourselves must be its author. He was right then, and his words ring true today. Democracy is not a finished work, nor is it a failed project. It is an ongoing experiment entrusted to each of us individually and to all of us together. And tonight, 2 weeks before Christmas, here in this room, we are reminded that amid our loud disagreements, America remains the most compassionate, innovative, creative, forward-leaning nation on earth. People still want to come here and be part of this experiment called America, not because it is perfect, but because we the people, not us or them, we the people will never stop trying to create a more perfect union. As a keen-eyed Frenchman observed many years ago, America is a great country because it is a good country. And the Travis Manion Foundation is a big part of that good. So let the Travis Manion Foundation be a guiding light as we rededicate every one of us to being the best version of ourselves as citizens, as neighbors, and as leaders. Let us demonstrate to our nation that unity is not dead, that courage still lives, and that service to others is still the path to a meaningful life, proven by this incredible foundation a movement as you accurately described it, Ryan. Let us live in a way that would make Travis Manion smile down on us, nod once, and say, good. That's the America I fought for. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and Semper Fidelis.
Ladies and gentlemen, General Mattis. All right, we're just slightly over time. I got a real quick story for you. We'll let you go, and it's quick. In 2012, I think it was, I was working on Capitol Hill. I was working up there because I lied my way into it. The Marine Corps thought I was in college, which I was at night, and people on Capitol Hill thought I was retired, but I wasn't yet. I was still an active duty Marine. There was a Colonel Baum there that hates EOD techs to this day because of me, because I snuck into his AO and didn't tell him about it. So after a while, the Commandant of the Marine Corps finds out about me, and then I become the guy that the Commandant calls on when needed to be a bit of a shiny object and not embarrass the Marine Corps. It was a long time ago. It was before Fox News or any of that, you know. And so I get a call one day. I'm working on Capitol Hill and said, hey, we want you to come to the White House and have dinner with like 30 some odd four-star generals. It's called the Combatant Commanders Dinner. And I thought, well, that sounds important. Of course they want me there, a staff sergeant with no legs. Why not? You know, so I go get my pickle suit, my green suit. I put it on. I get all my uniform ready. You know, I'm really kind of nervous about this, put everything together. And I get to the White House. Now, when you get to the White House, you know, I drove at the time a long bed four-door F-250. That's what I drove because I'm stubborn. And so I get there and like, yeah, you're not pulling anywhere near the White House and that thing. So they put it and they put me in a golf cart. They take me in. When they walk me in, he says, sorry, sir, all the generals are with the president for whiskey and cigar hour, but you can go over here to this line of champagne and cake with all the dates that were all female. And he said it like I was going to be upset. And I'm like, listen, I don't drink or smoke, but I love cake and women 55 and older. That's my demographic. So like, I'm pretty sure that's heaven waiting right there. I need practice. So I go over there and I'm hanging out. Long story short, there's one general over there that didn't get invited to whiskey and cigar hour, and I later found out there was some tension, and that's why, and that's just how, you know, men with big egos settle things. I think it's kind of funny. But I keyed in on that fact. And then they take us, they run us through a line to get pictures, and they sit us down in this room. Now, all the heavy hitters are there. I'm going to tell this story just like I always do. All the heavy hitters are there. McChrystal, Petraeus, Mullen, Admiral Mullen, General Mattis. They're all there. They don't put them in one table because their head's so big they fall through the floor. It's an old building. So they spread them out. So you got the president, vice president, secretary of defense, 30 some odd four-star generals. And I'm thinking they'll put me in the back of the room, no big deal. I'm literally only here because I don't have legs. That's all I got. And, you know, lo and behold, I get in and I'm sitting right next to the President of the United States, elbow to elbow. Like, they got more people at these tables than they're supposed to. Like, we're right up against each other, and I'm nervous wreck. My hands are sweating. I don't know how to handle myself. I'm like, what am I doing next to the President? And he's the first one to have a smartphone. He kept pulling it out, and I kept thinking, I'm going to see something and, like, get interrogated. So, I'm nervous. And what I realized is all the generals at this table, none of them are the ones you've seen on TV, obviously important to our military and the function of it and doing amazing things. And the more President Obama talked, the more it just kind of felt like, yes, sir. You know, they didn't want to not get invited to the next whiskey and cigar hour, I guess. I don't know. Just the conversation wasn't going anywhere. And so finally, to his credit, President Obama saw that. And so he looks to me because he realizes I'm not involved in the conversation. He probably knows I'm a nervous wreck. So he tries to be polite and bring me in. And he goes, Johnny, if you were back in Afghanistan, because the topic of conversation was what we'd do different in Afghanistan. If you were back in Afghanistan right now, in the same place, doing the same thing, what would you do different? And I thought for a minute. I looked at him and I said, well, Mr. President, I think I'd step left. The point of that story, ladies and gentlemen, is perspective. It wasn't my job to fix Afghanistan. It was my job to be there for my brothers and sisters, and that's what I did. Can't look back. We got to look forward. That's what this organization does. It helps veterans reconcile their past and look forward. That's the only thing I could do differently. I could have stepped left instead of stepped right. I had a 50-50 shot of getting out of there with legs that day. That's it. No regret. This organization helps veterans and their families go through the toughest and most monumental thing, the loss of someone long before they were supposed to go. Or surviving seeing your buddy die long before he was supposed to go. And they help those veterans and those families look forward and see something other than a cloudy day. I don't know how they do it. I would hate to be charged with that task, but they ask for it, and they do it in a damn good way. So without anything else, thank you for coming here tonight and supporting this organization. If you haven't already, give them some money and give them some of your time. Please. So, right? I'm not going to start auctioning or anything. I'm just saying, give them some money and give them some time. All right, so before we go, there's a tradition each year. The gala ends with a toast. So I want you to please find the bottle of Basil Hayden at your table and pour a shot for you and your friends. All right. Now that you've got that shot poured, I want you to raise your glasses in honor of the men and women who have served and sacrificed for this great country and those that continue to do so. May their leadership and legacies continue to inspire us tonight and always. Hear, hear. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's been an honor of mine to be a part of this evening. Thank you to the Travis Manion Foundation. I wish you all a great rest of your evening.